It's that time of the week. We are looking at your Dynasty football trades.
That's right.
These are all the trades that you've made within the last week. Now, if you want your trades to be on this weekly show, it's very simple. All you need to do is use our promo code LAND, sign up to the Flock Fantasy website, make sure you choose that Mother Flocker tier. You will instantly unlock the Dynasty Trades text channel. Feel free to DM us if you have any questions. But we could be looking at your trades this time next week. All right, the first trade we're going to look at here is from Han the Man, and he's got quite a few trades here. So let's have a look. He says, all 12-team Dynasty Superflex start 11. Full PPR, no tight end premium, and it's a rebuilding team. So the first one, he gets Kirk in a fourth, sends away Njoku in a third. And there is no tight end premium. So I feel pretty good about this deal personally. How about you? I'd rather have the Kirk side.
Yeah, I'd rather have the Kirk side as well. And I'm not necessarily worried about him losing his opportunity or job or anything along that thought process, especially with this wide receiver class. By the way, we just finished recording, which should be great. Probably you guys already watched it. If you haven't, go watch it. But yeah, I'm happy with Christian Kirk's side.
Yeah, same. I think he's going to be a solid contributor for multiple years. The next trade, he gets Miles Sanders and sends away Demario Douglas. This is a tough one to kind of nail down because Miles Sanders, man, it is tough to keep continued belief in him right now as a dynasty asset. Where do you kind of sit on this one? I think I personally might prefer Pop Douglas.
I would prefer Pop Douglas if I knew that the Patriots are going to get a new quarterback. And, is that Drake? Is that Caleb? The way they're standing right now. I think it's too early to evaluate Miles Sanders right now because of the scheme and what Frank Wright was running.
That's rough.
And rough. now it's no longer he's no longer there. So I'm going to go with the contract.
That's my concern as well. The entire coaching staff is gone. Everyone who made the decision to bring him in, is not there anymore.
Yeah, I understand. I definitely get that. One of the reasons Miles Sanders actually signed because it was Deuce Staley, and he loved Deuce Staley.
Yeah.
And he's gone as
well.
Now
Deuce Staley's his deuces.
Deuces, the deuce. It's tough. It's tough to say, I'll be honest with you. But I want to go with the contract and the money and the longevity, especially how difficult it is to get a running back right now. I don't think Papa is going to see a bigger ceiling than potentially what he is now, unless he gets an elite quarterback. And maybe that conversation can change in the future.
Yeah, that's fair. The next one, he gets a first-round pick, sends away Otton in a second, and I'll be honest, in a non-tight end premium, even in a tight end premium, I am excited about the first-round pick.
I agree.
We have been scouting the 24 class a lot, and I want as many valuable picks as I can possibly get my hands on. So
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer, yes.
Yes.
The next one, he gets Kincaid in a third, sends away Andrews, Judy in a third, so we'll cancel the third out. It's technically Kincaid for Andrews and Judy, and I have mentioned this a couple times on the channel. I've personally kind of moved on from Judy in the sense of ever relying on him becoming a key piece of my dynasty team if I want to win a league. I struggle to see that happening. Now he's a free agent and anything can happen, but he's probably just not the talent that we expected him to be. So I like the idea of pivoting off of Mark with that injury and going ahead and going with the youth of adult Kincaid. So I like the Kincaid side of this personally.
Interesting. I still believe in Judy. I think there's a lot more that has hindered him outside of his talent. I think it's been quarterback play.
Cortland Sutton's balling out.
Cortland Sutton is balling out, but I mean, Judy is not getting targeted either. He has got targeted in the past couple games so far. I mean, obviously we're recording this during week 12 or going into week 13, excuse me. So look, I'm interested to see what Jerry looks like in a better offense, maybe with a better quarterback. I think of someone like the Texans that only has one first. Do they not go for a wide receiver and invest in someone like a Jerry Jeudy, hypothetically?
I don't think Jerry Jeudy would be the second best wide receiver on that team.
And that's okay. and but he will have one of the best quarterbacks he's played with so far.
The volume just wouldn't be there. I mean,
Um,
I don't think he's better than Nico or Tank, honestly.
I would say he's better than Nico. I think there's a conversation for Tank. And I love,
Okay.
and I obviously you know me, I always liked Nico.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see where he goes and what that looks like. How about
Yeah.
this? Would you like Jerry if he went um, to the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes?
I like.
Like, I
Look,
think that changes the whole
I
narrative.
I personally no longer believe that Jerry Jeudy is a wide receiver that not only for myself in Dynasty I would rely on, but in the NFL that an NFL team says this guy is going to fix our problems.
Fair.
I think he's a complementary piece. And if he joins the Chiefs, I think it would be a nightmare simply because I don't think he's that better than Rashee Rice. I don't think he's better than, respectfully, at least 10 wide receivers in this draft. Maybe I'm too harsh, but I have mentally moved on from Judy, and maybe that will be my downfall. But I don't view him as a player that holds much value in my eyes.
Yeah, it definitely makes. I can understand where you're coming from. I'm going to give him grace and give him one more year to see what he looks like in an offense, unless he goes to a terrible team. But I'm happy to take the chances on Mark Andrews and a Jerry Jeudy in this trade specifically. But yeah, I'm giving him grace. Giving him grace.
The next one is Romeo Dobbs and Sam Howell and sends away Jordan Addison. Look, here's what I'll say. Yeah, Superflex League. I've seen this narrative around Twitter that the biggest sell high is Jordan Addison right now. Because Jefferson's coming back. Questions about quarterback. I just feel like every time there's a young rookie that does well and then their situation is in question, it's like, let's push the panic button and sell. And I'm not saying this is a panic sell per se, but as much as I love Sam Howell, I don't know for sure he's still the future of our team.
Yeah.
What I do know is Jordan Addison is a premier, which is what I labeled him when we scouted him, a premier elite wide receiver 2 in the NFL. That's what I know for sure. And I feel like you gave up the most proven asset. Even though Sam Howell currently leads the NFL in passing yards, if Washington gets a top 3 pick, I'm not convinced that a new head coach, maybe new GM, says Sam Howell is the answer for sure. You know?
Right.
So I think there's still some question marks. I'm not saying he can't be the quarterback of the future. I think he's played well, but I just think we've given up the best asset
I agree.
in this deal.
I completely agree. If that quarterback was somebody else in the super flex leagues, I don't even know. That list can go on. Was that Russell Wilson, even though he's older, or Jared Goff? I doubt. I'm looking at those type of quarterbacks, maybe even Justin Fields with all the question marks.
Sure.
Brock
Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, exactly. Like if you tell me I had those quarterbacks on the other side in the Superflex leagues, I'll probably be taking them over Jordan Addison because I am with those narratives that, not saying you should sell Jordan Addison, but questioning what does the longevity look like for this organization, and
I can understand the questions for sure. Just bet on talent. For me.
And exactly. You bet on the talent. I've definitely been done wrong by leaning on the organization over the talent. I get it, but and for me, this would be Jordan Addison in hopes that it was somebody else.
Sure, that makes sense. And to be fair, I'll be honest. I struggle to see a scenario where Kirk Cousins is not back with this team.
I agree.
I've kind of come to that conclusion that, yeah, is it really going to get better than Kirk Cousins at this point?
The thing is,
he was playing at an MVP level.
If they keep losing, that is the problem. They're currently right now, they have the 20th pick in the draft, the Minnesota Vikings. Hypothetically, they lose the next 3 out of the 5 games. They can have a top 15 pick with an opportunity to move up and get a Bo Nix. Is that exciting?
So,
I'm not saying yes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
that is actually
still
exciting to me because there are plenty of point guard quarterbacks, if you will, in this class. So I think either Kirk Cousins comes back or you take a McCarthy, you take a Bo Nix, like you mentioned, you take a Jaden Daniels, you take a Penix. Michael Penix Jr. would be perfect.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
He would
saying.
be perfect here.
That
So
I think they would be in contention to get somebody like that going into next year. If once again, if they lose the next 3 out of the 5 games, hypothetically, but if they win out, that's going to be tough. We'll see.
yeah, but then I think Kirk is back. So like I said, I feel like it's fine either way, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, the next. Oh, that is all the trades. That is all the trades for now. So
Man.
thank you, Hand the Man. Crime Lord is up next. 10-team Superflex, tight end premium. He gets Waddle and Pitts. He sends away Andrews, JSN, Mims, and a third. I will say,
Oh boy,
my personal opinion here. Look, Kyle Pitts, he really is just this monster waiting to be unleashed. The issue is, I don't trust Arthur Smith, and there's currently no indication that Arthur Smith won't be there.
no.
And we can't just keep saying when a quarterback comes, then it will be fine. And as far as Jalen Waddle goes, I still prefer him over JSN, but we're talking about 2 first-round wide receivers who are not producing consistently.
Which we did
And
have
I think
that
there's a
conversation.
scenario in which JSN becomes the number 1 wide receiver on his team. I don't see that happening with Waddle.
With Waddle. Exactly.
So I actually prefer the Andrews side of this deal is what I'm trying to say.
Agreed. And that was something that we said in our other video, our other trade for video, or trade show video, excuse me, saying that this Waddle situation, even though he had a good bounce back game this past week, if I'm not mistaken, once again, we're recording this going into week 13, very up and down season, in my opinion, someone that you can't really rely on. You can't rely on JSN, but you can see the pathway to opportunity.
Yeah.
You can't see that with Jalen Waddle.
Or for him to become the number 1.
Exactly, for him to become the number 1. And you can't see that with Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek there. We believe he's the number 1, at least I think I can speak for you. We believe he's the number 1 talent. We believe he could
100%.
be that guy in any other offense, but kind of Tyreek Hill is overshadowing Jalen Waddle, and we can see him going into the teens in our rankings here, and Jackson Smith and Jigba creeping up if Tyler Lockett walks, if DK Metcalf is in question to even come back, which he is going to be back next year because he has a contract extension. But I am going to agree with you, Mark Andrews. By the way, I didn't hit on Kyle Pitts really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I trust him. I'm not sure if I want to take the. If you're telling me someone right now wants to send me a first for Kyle Pitts, no matter where that's at, I'm going to take it.
I think you take it at this point.
I'm going to take it. I mean, I remember when Kyle Pitts came in, I think, I'm not saying like you and only you, but like there was in scenarios, if I'm not mistaken, you traded for Kyle Pitts and you sent like 2 firsts or something like that in one of our follower leagues. Unless that was somebody else.
I can't think of a scenario where I've sent that much, but I've definitely drafted him pretty high.
I think I'm just saying like he was worth up to that point essentially. He was worth like
I think at a point when he was drafted, he was worth at least three first-round picks.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the fact that you can only get 1 now, I feel like you need to take it. You need to take the opportunity right now if you could.
I would just say, to be fair to everyone who was in on Kyle Pitts, everything was there.
Everything is still there. I think it's just the opportunities. I mean, we finally seen Bijan.
The coaching staff is not the right coaching staff.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't think the scheme's the scheme.
It's tough to see it working out.
I agree.
I was just going to say on Waddle real quick. Before the year, if I had told you heading into week 13, Jalen Waddle had 1 game over 20 PPR points, where would you have drafted him?
It definitely. I think I would still give you the teens area. I would say.
Wide receiver.
I don't know what 15, 16.
15? Okay.
I would say around there. Which will make him what I think at the time wide receiver 15, 16 was probably at the end of the 3rd, early 4th round. That's not terrible.
Yeah, we know what he's capable of. He's just not. He's not getting the boom games that he used to get last year. I mean, we had multiple games last year where he just went nuclear, a 40-point game, a 30-point game, multiple games over 20, a game over 25. And he's still connected to a very good offense. that the passing attack is lethal. It's just Tyreek is the dude. Anyway,
Yeah.
just a little thought there, but yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to digest.
Mm.
Shane Anderson, Alpha League, it's early second, so he gets Jordan Love.
That's me.
So this is your trade.
This is me.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't have sold Jordan Love for this personally.
That's fair. I mean, that was something that like we were talking about in a couple other videos.
Yeah.
I'm just not I don't see the pathway for Jordan Love. I know he's won a game. They have the 13th pick at the moment. I see this team either sticking out with Jordan Love, and I don't see his value rising going into next year, or they draft a quarterback. And with how deep this quarterback class is, being in that middle pack would not surprise me if they do draft. If they draft Bo Nix, if they draft a Jaden Daniels, if they draft any of those guys, Jordan Love's value is in question. And maybe it's a bad trade, but we'll definitely find that out when it comes draft time. Sure. But yeah, I was okay. I was okay with the second personally.
Too early to say. What we talked about, this was a couple weeks ago when we talked about this, and we basically said he's going to either play his way into a job or out of a job. Mm-hmm. And to me, he's playing his way into a job right now, and that could fall apart. There's a lot of volatility there, but I watched that Lions game on Thanksgiving. This man was dissecting this defense. I mean, I genuinely don't know that there was better quarterback play last week than Jordan Love. Truly. And I know that because I was playing against him in fantasy football. Mm-hmm. And every time he threw a ball, I was like, who the hell is this? What have you done with Jordan Love?
Right. But we were saying that early in the season too, though. We were saying that.
No, we were not.
We were saying like he was a top. I mean,
okay, I'll just speak for myself. I did not see that earlier in the season. I saw a lot of inconsistencies. Mm-hmm. I saw a very low completion percentage, inaccurate passes. Mm-hmm. I have not seen this version of Jordan Love yet, personally. So
that's fair.
That's just my personal opinion.
I think a lot of people were really excited about like how high he was, and maybe that's where I misspoke in that sense. It's like a lot of people were excited because he was like a top 3 quarterback in the first 5 weeks.
For fantasy, sure.
Yeah, in the first 5 weeks.
But he wasn't playing well at that time.
Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of people see. But I mean, decently easy schedule. Kansas City, Giants, Tampa, Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago. There's some winnable games, no doubt, but there's also some games that he should be losing or probably would lose, and will give him opportunity to be in that contention. But that Detroit game really skewed a lot of things, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, what have you done for me lately, I guess? But it's, man, I couldn't help but be extremely impressed by that game. The next one is from the India League, late first. It's CJ Stroud in the late first for Joe Burrow.
I think we saw this one already.
think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this happened before Burrow's injury.
Yeah.
So that's tough for Jared. But honestly, I prefer the CJ Stroud side at this point. I think
agree.
I've seen enough to say Stroud and Burrow will be drafted right next to each other in startup drafts this upcoming offseason in Dynasty Superflex startup drafts. So yeah, I would just take the extra first.
Are you still, let me ask you this. Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud for fantasy? Not in real life, for fantasy.
I've thought about that. I
because
mean,
that's
I would
where
still
I'm
have
struggling.
Herbert higher.
That's where I'm struggling. As much as maybe how bad play or whatever, like how bad the Chargers offensive look, Justin Herbert has been consistent, right?
Dude, he's been insanely good.
Yeah, exactly. So this one's really tough for me to gauge. I wonder how that looks like next year without Keenan Allen if Keenan Allen walks. That's my concern.
Yeah.
Because he has a solidified, consistent, reliable wide receiver that catches everything. And if he doesn't have that next year, obviously with Quentin is not looking good, but maybe they draft somebody like a Malik.
Yeah. It was funny because I was watching a video on Bryce Young recently, and the video was just highlighting how Bryce Young is the most accurate quarterback when his wide receivers have created separation, but he has the fewest plays with separation from his wide receivers, if that makes sense. So essentially his wide receivers are not getting open.
Essentially.
And number 2 on that list was actually Justin Herbert. And I just found that really, really telling because you can like imagine this guy gets someone alongside of Keenan Allen. I don't think Keenan Allen leaves just because he's playing so well, and I don't see a reason for him to do that at this point of his career. He could.
Sure. I get
But
it.
the good news for teams like Kansas City and the Chargers who need wide receiver is, hey, you could draft 2 that could start for you instantly this year. You know?
Yeah, I get you.
So it is close. I think it's a good conversation, but I still lean Herbert. It's close.
Yeah, I still lean Herbert as well. Just wanted to have that because I've been struggling with that in my rankings.
Sure.
Because they're back to back right now. I still have Herbert higher than CJ, but they are.
It's tough.
It is a tough one for me.
Okay, and we've got 2 more left today. One from Coach. Coach says 12 team Superflex, start 9, quarterback premium, 6-point touchdown, and 10 points per passing yard. Wow, that's kind of OP. He says, for reference, Tyreek is an 18th ranked player instead of 2nd. He's slightly behind Kirk Cousins at 17. I mean, that is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, that is
to have that scoring format.
That is next
quarterbacks.
Level.
Quarterbacks are just, they got to be way OP here.
premium.
Rebuilding team, 1-year stint, still owns 6 24 firsts, and 4 of which will be top 6. Got Herbert for Young. The first I'm sending will be 9 to 12. The second could be high. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So, all right. Well, man, look.
This is tough.
I love the idea of adding draft capital, and I love the idea of buying low on a Bryce Young. But specifically when you tell me your format, even without that format, I just feel like this is underselling Herbert personally. I want to buy low on Bryce Young, but not if it costs me Justin Herbert. You know,
Agreed.
I want to send a 2nd-round pick for Bryce Young right now.
Agreed.
But to me, you add on the fact that it's 10 points per passing. What was it?
10 point per passing yard.
Is that correct, or is it 10 points per 10?
This is 10 points / passing yards. So
okay,
that's
regardless,
how I'm reading
it just feels like Justin Herbert would be like, right now I'd say Herbert's probably worth 3 first-round picks in a player. If you add on that format, he's probably worth 5. So I just think I understand the desire to get younger, but Herbert is just a pillar piece. And this format, I just struggle to see this being worth it.
I would agree there. I know you said you have Patrick Mahomes here, Coach. And I know you said so less pressure to land Caleb or Drake. But I think that if anything, that potentially puts more pressure on you not having Justin Herbert. Right? Because in
a
now,
super flex format for sure.
And now I'm not saying that these guys aren't going to hit in Caleb or Drake, but Bryce Young is a perfect example of anything can happen. Maybe those guys don't hit Caleb or Drake, right? And we hope and believe these guys are going to be the answer, but everything matters. System matters, head coaching matters, the player matters. And I hope it doesn't happen for Caleb or Drake because I'm hoping my Giants get one of these guys. And I'm pretty sure Zach will say the same thing for his Washington team. I hope he is not what Bryce Young is in his first year. But, you know, I definitely would want the Herbert side over this. So,
there are certain players that are on the you do not trade them list, and Herbert's just one of those names for me.
I would say this.
But it's just our opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just our opinion.
Yeah, I would say this. You have 6 firsts, 4 in which be top 6. Maybe there's somebody out there that's willing to take a chance. And maybe they have a CJ Stroud. You send him away. You send one of those first away to get, not one, but you deal up a trade to get a CJ Stroud or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, who a lot of people are selling low at the moment right now because of his injury. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The last trade is from Rob, who says 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium. I'm 4-8 trying to retool for next year. I have CJ and Deshaun Watson as other quarterbacks. So he gets Mayfield, Chase, JSN in a second. He sends away OBJ, Debo, Jordan Love, and Jonathan Taylor. Now, this is an example that, you know, I do like kind of selling on Jordan Love here. And that's just because you're getting a elite wide receiver in Jamar Chase and a potential receiver in JSN that could have a huge impact. Now, losing Jonathan Taylor is probably the most difficult part of this deal here. But at least you added a second-round pick.
Yeah.
I think the second round is going to be super valuable this year.
Yeah, I would agree there. Second round is going to be valuable. One of the biggest things we keep saying is that you should be trading for running backs, elite running backs, if you can, instead of trading them away, because this running back class depth is not the best, very top-heavy. And it's not even elite players. Like, there's no Bijan Robinson in this class. So you're going to get, you're getting someone at the end of the first for your first running back. Get what I'm saying? Mid to end of the first. You never know. But, I would agree here. I would be happy to trade away Love, OBJ, for the Chase and Jigba.
Yeah, it's tough losing Taylor there, but hopefully you have some good running back depth. But that is it for today, guys. We appreciate y'all. Drop a like. Let us know what trades you've been making in the comments below. We won't be able to reply to everyone, but if you're leaving a comment, go ahead and reply to someone else and say, yeah, you did a good job, or hey, might not have been the best trade. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.